Welcome into another episode of Sportslandia. Brian Schleich, Ray Bradley here. We're brought to you by the Next Professional Athlete platform, and we're back with another episode post Super Bowl. It was a long couple of weeks. I don't know what to do with myself during that Pro Bowl week that I don't think anybody really pays attention to. Did you watch Pro Bowl at all? I guess the real question.
Exactly. I was lucky that there was a flag football game on, and at some point I realized that was the actual Pro Bowl. So I guess so. It seemed like fun, Peyton and Eli are out there mugging onto the camera, and there was 60 points scored per team, so they were doing stuff. But it is
weird.
They did it
weird. They'd play a quarter, and then they'd do some mini games on the side in between the quarters, and then they would come back for the next quarter, play, and then do some more mini games, and then back for another quarter. It's a different setup. Obviously, it's a lot more lax than Sean Taylor taking the head off of Mormon, the punter. Different times,
different vibes.
But I don't know. I literally put it on just to have something on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't even think I was really paying attention. The only thing I ever remember, and you'll love this, it's just the C.J. Stroud in the second quarter, just like a couple of throws, like the announcer just being like, "What a throw by Stroud!" It's like, cool.
I don't envy. The things you're gonna have to block out on Twitter throughout the next 10 years, just cancel out certain words and situations for Stroud.
That stuff doesn't really bother me. It's just funny.
Okay.
That's what stood out to me. That's what I was hearing. It was just like, oh, Stroud's on, he completed. That's all I took in from the Pro Bowl.
Almost won the precision passing challenge thing or whatever. I think Baker won it. And then Dan Orlovsky came in and blew all their records away.
Did you hear Baker's line during that Pro Bowl week?
I did not. I love the Baker line.
First round or whatever, and he's like, "Oh man, what happened?" He's like, "Well, I haven't thrown a football in a couple weeks. The last pass I threw was an interception to Derek Barnes." It's self-deprecation. I love it.
I love Baker. What a guy.
He seems like such a down-to-earth guy, competitive wise, but. No, he had a couple good jokes. I think the big surprise was
awesome.
For as easy as some of the drills are easy, obviously we're not throwing the ball or whatever, but Jalen Hurts struggled at some times. So it's like, wow, we just paid that man a boatload of money, and he was not passing with very much precision. I don't know if he was hurting just because his team just hasn't been in it the last few weeks and he hasn't done anything. He's just in recovery mode or what, but it didn't look pretty. But again, it's very laid back. It's Pro Bowl.
Were there any tush-push challenges that he could really use to his advantage? Maybe that was the problem. Some kind of
no tush-pushes, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I think he would have had a good chance at that one. Was Lamar even at the Pro Bowl? I don't really remember seeing him. Maybe just took it off. Too bad of a loss. Okay,
I mean, it's not too surprising to have people who lose in the AFC or NFC title game just not want to go to it afterwards. When the Bears lost to the Packers in whatever it was, 2012 or something like that.
The Jay Cutler year?
And a couple of the defensive players were like, yeah, we're just not going to go to the Pro Bowl. We don't
Fair.
want it.
God, especially for a defensive player. Why are you even... Unless you just want the free vacation and the hangout.
Offensive game. I don't...
There's no point. But fun event. But we wanted to start off with some Pro Bowl talk because that's what the people are here for.
We don't want to talk about the Super Bowl.
But I don't think there's really that much you could do with the Pro Bowl. There's no perfect. I did that by then continuing to talk about the Pro Bowl. There's not a perfect Pro Bowl game. What do you want them to go crazy out there? You want them to take it easy? So I think that whatever they're doing is fine, as long as nobody gets hurt. Have some fun. Whatever, I guess. I don't really know what I would even want them to do, so I don't have any notes.
Free vacation for some of the players. It's not that they need a free vacation, but vacation to Orlando, and then I guess you do get money for being on the winning team, but
I don't care. Yeah, that never really incentivizes me as a fan. Yeah, All-Stars coming up for NBA. It's the same thing. It's they have it maybe a little more figured out just because it's a little... they get a good 5 minutes of basketball at the end of the All-Star game usually, where players are actually playing.
It ends, though.
Yeah, well, the Elam ending rule, I think, too, just helps with. I think that might be the future of basketball in general, but it just cuts down on all the fouls and the bullshit, and it's just we're just playing schoolyard bullshit.
In the final 2 minutes of a game,
it's just here's a number, play to it. Fouling does not help you, so. But yeah, we'll see with the All-Star game coming up. They have a little bit more fun events, the 3-point, the dunk, even though they've kind of murdered the dunk contest. Those make more sense as things I would want to watch than Like I don't know what the equivalent of the NFL would even be for that. Like they do this passing thing. Now they're playing dodgeball and stuff. It's like, I don't know.
You can try to dunk over the goalpost. Give me some cool
That was the
things.
first thing I thought of too, but they're so no fun. They banned that. Like they literally banned that from being, which I guess I get. You don't want to. That's a pretty important piece of thing. You don't want to bend it left or right during a game, but I don't know. Jimmy Graham made a living off that. You can't just throw that away.
And you gotta fix that halftime. Come on.
Yeah, a long ass halftime, especially
halftime fixes it up.
a long ass halftime, especially at the Super Bowl, which is something that happened after the Pro Bowl. But anyways, the Pro Bowl.
No. We'll move on.
All right. Okay.
How did you take in the Super Bowl? Did you go anywhere? Did you just hang out at home?
Nope.
How did you take it in?
Pretty solo watch. It's the one day off in between Blazers, right before we get to this All-Star break. So still not a lot of time off. So happy to watch it, chill. Play a little bit of Yakuza as well on the other TV, and then had it on. And I think it made it onto the big TV when the games got near the end. But
yeah.
The football's the perfect side TV kind of thing because you can just like there's a play.
Okay, well, I mean, it's going to play like what once every 45 seconds, like
yeah. And the commercials come on. You're keeping track.
Exactly.
But yeah, and you?
I went over to my mother-in-law's house. My mom was in town. Yeah, so we.
That's football watching place.
Well, it was pretty easy. I mean, her mom is pretty laid back, so we kind of just sat and watched the game, made some food
from a seated position. Okay.
From the seated position, yeah. Well, I stood a lot because I sit just naturally.
You like to mimic the quarterback on every play and really get into it.
I do, yeah. I got to go through the motions. Full throwing motion in.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah, no, took it in there. Honestly, kind of good setting. I was fine with it. Nothing too crazy. Were you going for a certain team? I know I said I was ready to rock and roll tonight, but I really did not have a rooting interest in either team.
Going back and forth. Yeah, not really. And then I was trying to find a team to root for, and I landed on. I don't want to come away from this season going, well, Brock Purdy was the best quarterback. He won the Super Bowl. That couldn't quite get my head around that pregame, and so I was going for the Chiefs, even though that kind of hurt my Brady legacy thing. Then there was a couple moments in the game where there was a couple fourth downs and late in the game where all of a sudden I was like, oh, hold on a second. I do want the Chiefs to lose, actually, I'm realizing. And I would be okay with that. It sets him back a little bit further because already the talk's begun. And that was, of course, right when he started getting it. And I was like, oh, boy, now it's too late. I've already closed it in. But I don't know.
Can't bet against him. Cannot bet against him.
No. And, I mean, that was the other part. I ended up throwing some bets down, and I did bet on the Chiefs in a lot of those regards, so that was at least there as kind of a, whatever you want to call it.
Your money back at least?
Well, there's a lot of props that hurt me that I kind of started throwing stuff at willy-nilly, but it was fun. It was all low.
Any Taylor prop bets?
No, annoyingly, well,
I didn't do Gatorade. You said Gatorade in our group chat.
Yeah, it was just what was there. Apparently it was purple. It's like, how the hell, what?
That's an interesting color for the two teams.
I don't know. I guess red. Both teams are red. It's not. I would want blue Gatorade, but what like taste wise, I think that would be ideal. But whatever.
Glacier Freeze or Cool Blue?
Glacier Freeze.
Okay.
Glacier Freeze.
Good
Absolutely.
choice.
Cool Blue is just like blue fruit punch. Get the hell out of here.
Right.
No, thank you. I don't need that.
Glacier Freeze.
I mean, the only Taylor Swift prop I wanted was just a simple over/under shots of her in the.
They had a lot of her. Not that it bothered me, but they did show her a lot. But that's part of the allure of the Super Bowl, though. It's like all the celebrities are there, everything else. And then her dating Travis is just another layer to what was going on in the game.
Yes, and it's a triple. She was right there with Ice Spice and Blake Lively. Like
Blake Lively was there.
You're getting some run out of that from different angles. But I just wanted a simple over/under. I didn't get that. The one weird thing I saw in one of the categories was they had a whole category that was like Taylor Swift songs or album titles that they made into bets. It was like I don't know.
Be said on air or something.
It would be like Taylor. It would be like a blank space, and then it would say like no touchdowns in the first half or something. Like it was that, and then it would be like I don't know any of Taylor Swift's songs.
I know Anthony here.
1989. The score is 8-9 at the end of the second quarter. I don't know. But there was a bunch of booze, so they weren't real Taylor Swift bets, but they were themed after her. And that was like,
Okay.
I found that kind of annoying. I didn't like that.
It
So
does sound a little bit of annoying. It sort of misleading in a way.
and it was just weird bets that didn't sound good. So it's just like, I'm just curious who was like really into that. Like, oh, I'm gonna make the blank space bet. That's my favorite album. It's like, what? What is that bet though? What are you doing?
Are
That's
you a
not the,
squares guy?
oh, I think that one, yeah, but that's like, I feel like that's very much a at the party you're at kind of thing. Like they had those online, and I was like, I'm not even gonna
Yeah,
bother.
we didn't have one like specifically at our house or whatever where we
Yeah, you
watched.
got to get a
Like
big collection
Aaron had
going.
friends that made a grid or whatever, and
Oh,
we
okay.
wanted money to be into it. So like it
Oh,
was a group effort of friends and everything. We just weren't
maybe
all
that would
watching
work.
the game together.
Interesting. Well, this must have been a weird one because like it was like 1919 near the end of the game. There's a lot of field goals, so I
Oh,
imagine it
dude, I
was
had the worst numbers possible.
strange.
My best numbers were 0-0. So when the first quarter hit, I was like,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
and then I
Yeah.
was hoping it would be 10-0, and I was just like, at halftime, I was just like, come
Oh yeah.
on,
Oh
stop,
yeah.
stop. And then the Chiefs got within like the 15-yard. I was like, they're going for a field goal. I'm not getting the halftime score or whatever. But
Yeah.
we should do something similar for that next year for like in our group chat or in our fantasy league.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
That'd
great point.
be a good thing to keep everybody else engaged too in the
Yeah.
game.
I forget this age of technology we live in. Of course, there's a way to do it on our phones.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't have the pencil and paper. I don't really get how to do it. But yeah,
Well,
that's a great idea.
but
But anyways, the game.
let's get into the game action right now. So the 49ers and Chargers, excuse me, 49ers and Chiefs.
Ooh, wow, hold on now.
I'm speaking into existence next
Maybe
year's Super Bowl. It's
maybe
the Jim
next year.
Harbaugh Bowl. It'll be 49ers and Chargers. I'm kidding. No,
They're both in the
Chiefs.
AFC now. How annoying is that? They couldn't have
I-
split the. We can't get a Harbaugh Bowl again. But yeah, yes.
No,
the team.
no. It's a Harbaugh Bowl between his two teams. Coached the Niners. Now he's coaching the Chargers.
Okay, okay.
That's what I meant by that.
We can get a Harbaugh AFC Championship at least, I guess.
You can get that, which I still think would be just as entertaining because I feel like those two would really go at each other.
Yeah, that's the halftime entertainment.
Yeah, right. Those two just get into a like a boxing ring.
Whoever wins gets the kickoff in the second half. Like, let's go.
That's
5
it.
minutes. Ding ding.
So going back to the game though, we were kind of texting what was happening, and I was shocked at how easy the 49ers were moving the ball early on, but they just kept shooting themselves in the foot. The McCaffrey fumble was obviously very uncharacteristic of Christian.
Yeah.
I think he only had like 3 on the season.
Great
For the
punch.
amount of touches that he has, it's a very low number. And
Oh, yeah.
and then the penalties on the second drive because you're making ground, and then you get backed up with back-to-back penalties, I believe it was, and
Yeah.
and
The Chiefs were going 3 and out. Like, it really felt like the entire. I mean, the scoreboard reflected it to an extent eventually, but it felt like the whole first quarter of the 49ers were kind of dominating the game.
they should have had way more than 10 points. Like
Yeah.
I thought 14, maybe even 17. Like just because of how they were moving the ball, I thought that they could have put up more points.
Yeah, but
Defensively, you had both.
nerves got to him a little bit maybe early. I don't know.
That's
kept the game
I
even.
believe Chase said something similar in our group chat, or maybe it was you. But
The-
the nerves. It really seemed like that sort of affected them, even both sides to a sense, because the Chiefs were very crisp. Not that their offense has been great at all this year.
They came out slow. I thought they'd come out a lot quicker and get an early lead and kind of milk it from there like they did against the
They've always been
Ravens.
so good with their scripted plays to start games that it was hard to believe that one, Chase Young was getting involved in making plays. Like
Yeah,
that was, I don't want to say uncharacteristic. Obviously, he was a number 2 overall pick, and
he hasn't shown it on this team
explosion.
though so far.
But yeah, since he's been traded, he has sort of had lackluster performances. But
Yeah.
he showed up a bit earlier in this game. They allowed a lot of, I don't want to say holding, but the Chiefs tackles
They let 'em
this
play.
season were flagged the most, and I don't think they were flagged at all during the game, which I find that a bit hard to believe. I saw a couple
Intriguing.
Bosa down on the ground, no calls. But I'm not saying that
Yeah, I mean, you know what they say, they can call holding on every play, but you'd expect a little bit more.
couple. I mean, like you literally had the number 1 flag tackle and another top 5 flag tackle, and nothing was called.
Flag tackle. Wait, what are we talking Pro Bowl again? What's this?
No. I mean, like they were the most penalized
Oh.
tackles.
Tackles. Gotcha.
The tackles were the most penalized
Well, those
tackles in the
freaking
league,
tackles.
and not much was really called during the game on that. Now, in a sense, that's great. I'd rather them just play than have flag, flag, flag,
Yes.
flag, and stuff like that. So like
There's
there was some
there's
continuity in
there
play
still were
to
a lot of
everything that was
flags
going on.
early.
What?
They were still throwing some laundry that whole first quarter, but yeah,
They
it's
did have some early. Well, yeah, I mean they called on the 49ers
of
and
clear
whatnot,
mistakes. Yeah.
but this. I'm surprised that it took the Chiefs so long to sort of get things going, and a lot of the momentum was on the 49ers side. Even like going into halftime, even though the Chiefs got the 3 points and they were going to double dip because they got the opening kickoff for the second half.
You love the double dip.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart move by them.
You
You got
love
to
the
do
double
it.
dip.
But,
Gotta defer.
it didn't necessarily feel like I had the most confident in the Chiefs to go down and like go score to start that second half.
Well, even Travis Kelce didn't have much confidence in his coach clearly in the first half because he made it clear to him, almost knocked him over on the sideline, scared him out of his skin. That's pretty crazy. They just showed that moved on like it was nothing. I was like, what the hell just happened?
There were what I saw on his podcast that he put out. He goes, "Yeah, I definitely should not have done that." He like tried to play it off, and then was like, "Yeah, I was already a little bit off balance when he came up to me, and then it's caught me off guard." And I was like, "Okay,
Winning heals all wounds.
yeah, well, exactly." One, do you think Andy still has that same reaction? I think he's a little bit more.
I think it's probably still fine, but that was pretty bizarre and pretty crazy.
I think it looked maybe a little more worse than what it was. Andy said it was. I want to score, things like that, which we don't know. Obviously, I'm not a lip reader or anything like that. So
I think the bigger reaction is. I think Taylor Swift's reaction is probably the one that would be a little bit more worrying because that feels like a big red flag in my opinion. If she's looking down there watching it, and she's just like,
I mean, she was already dating him when he threw his helmet on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a.
I feel like that was more heated. Like yes, Travis got in Reed's face.
That's the thing. It's person to person now
than this one.
But this is like, oh, this is how he would react in a heated argument with me. I don't know if that's a good thing. Like, that's where I think that your mind could go a lot easier than if I was that helmet or the ground. Would he throw the helmet? I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
So I think it's also a different setting of just competitive nature.
Something she's filing away. We may hear in a future song of that blow up that he had. That was the first warning sign of.
It'll be the secret song at the end of this upcoming album.
Ooh, yeah, she did announce. Very good timing. Announcing the album, fantastic stuff.
Right.
So the game, anyways.
Yeah, halftime comes around 10-3 in favor of the Niners, and then it just sort of seemed a longer, drawn-out process like it was the first time these two teams faced off in the Super Bowl, where the Chiefs were just death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, the Niners' offense was abysmal in the third quarter. I think they had like 30 total yards. And like credit the Chiefs defense, they started to come alive and make plays.
For me, the Chiefs defense played absolutely insane. Both defenses did. Like, it really became a classic defensive game it was for 3.5 quarters. It felt like even more than that. Mm-hmm. But the Chiefs defense was just, their secondary they were running the routes for all of the 49ers receivers. They were every single time had the hand right where they needed to get in front of the ball. I was blown away by how good the Chiefs defense was. They completely carried them through this game. And other than like the big McCole Hardman throw early on that didn't actually end up mattering because I think they fumbled right after that.
Yeah,
Mahomes just did a very good job of managing the whole game and doing what he needed to do and letting his defense do stuff.
Sounds so strange.
It's not very him, but it felt, if we're already doing the Brady comparisons, it felt more like those early
first 3 Super Bowls for him.
Or the Rams one at the end, where it was just like it was a largely defensive game that he managed perfectly and got the plays that he needed when he got them. But the defenses were insane. That's why it ended up just being the long-ass field goals, too. This field goal from your guy Moody, who's been sketchy. I think he opened up and made like the longest kick in Super Bowl history.
He did, and it only lasted for 30 minutes because then Butler beat it by a single yard.
Yeah. And at a certain point, it was like the MVPs were like, is this Jawan Jennings MVP or Anderson Booker MVP? Like, it was kind of being floated there. I mean, Jawan Jennings played an incredible pass from him on
I think the Niners won. I think Jawan Jennings probably would have won. He had the 2 most impactful plays for the 49ers.
Yeah, as it was.
And then he ended up catching that touchdown. I believe it was on 3rd down, too.
Yeah. As it was, he was praying for it. Like, unless some insane, crazy play happened. It looked like it was going to go that way. But, Yeah, then we got into I don't know, a little bit of
We got
overtime
into the
rules.
fourth quarter. Things were starting to get a little tight after that Jawan Jennings touchdown. The missed extra point, the block kick
The
on Moody.
blocked extra point.
Yeah, that changes everything. I mean, you make that
Everything.
extra point. I don't know if you go to overtime. I mean, obviously, Kansas City probably goes for it on
Someone's
fourth
going for
down instead of
two. Yeah.
going for the field goal and
Weird things.
trying to
Weird
get a
things.
touchdown and stuff. But um, it
Yeah.
just changed everything.
I get.
It's almost overlooked because everything went into overtime and all the overtime rules, and that became the
Yes.
storyline and everything. But that blocked extra point
Enormous.
changed everything.
They got.
Like the momentum just got sucked out of the 49ers after that block kick because you're
Yeah.
expecting like, all right, we're going to go up. They have to get more than a field goal,
Yeah.
and
A totally different situation. And then
everything changed.
obviously it was that play, and then it was the punt that goes off of your random blocker's leg. Like
Yeah.
that's just such an unavoidable random play that they immediately fall on and get a touchdown. The next play is just like those things start happening, and you're like, "Ooh, this is not good."
The tides have turned.
That happens, and then the blocked extra point. It's like that team that happens that does not win. Like the Patriots went into Denver against Peyton Manning and missed an extra point in that game and ended up not winning the AFC Championship and having to go for two, and they didn't get it and all this stuff because of that one little point. Those things get lost along the way in the playoffs, and it always comes back, always. And
Yeah.
it did again here. It allows them to take the game into overtime.
Yeah, I will say for Moody, he made a couple of big kicks in the game. I think confidence-wise,
Huge.
you have to be happy with yourself in a sense because you knocked home 56-yarder, another 40-plus yarder, and then you had another one in overtime where, there were question marks with him going in. It's like
Yeah.
how much can we lean on him? I think that 56-yarder to start the game for him was the biggest one. I mean, if he makes
Tone
that,
setter.
which he did, that allows you to go forward with him. Had he missed that, I bet the 49ers are a bit more conservative with throwing him out there to try to make it fit.
They're going on some fourth downs around the 35 and the 40 then at that point. But yeah, once he hits that, it's like, okay, we've got some
That's
range
what
to
they
this. We
drafted
know
him
where we
for.
need to
Like,
get to.
they knew he
Yeah.
had a leg that he would kick it, 50-plus yards. He was doing that at Michigan. So, like, that's exactly why they drafted him for those long field goals. And it's, lucky for him, it finally paid off for the 49ers in a sense. But, just the extra point, again, it comes back down to that. Now, overtime.
Yeah.
Overtime is the big one.
New
Rule
rules.
changes for overtime.
Great
Some
rule
of the
changes.
49ers were not aware of. Both
God,
teams still get a possession, even if you score a touchdown as the first team to get the ball. So
Yeah.
you have to be able to respond. That changed a couple years ago, or maybe a couple years ago with that Bills-Chiefs game where Josh Allen
Yeah.
never got the football, and probably one of the greatest playoff games of recent memory. But
13-second game? 12-second? 13.
yeah, the 13-second Josh
Kick-
Allen took the lead or whatever.
Kick it off in bounds.
Yeah, no,
I was
that was
screaming that whole thing. Yeah. Idiots.
yes.
Idiots.
So anyway,
idiots.
Shanahan takes the ball first. And 49ers
Yes.
think that's a good idea at the time. And, like, he
All
said
of us were like, okay.
he was tired. They were already predetermined that. But you could
Terrible
tell
idea.
that the Chiefs were set up in a better opportunity. I mean, they talked about a post-game that they were hammering home these overtime rules for the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks, where the 49ers like, I didn't know the rules changed,
Yeah.
which
And
you
they-
should definitely know
and
that.
the Niners-
I'm surprised that Shanahan didn't let them know that. He seems like such a detail-oriented guy that I find it
I
a
can
little
s-
bit disbelief or whatever that he doesn't at least share it at least once throughout the 2 weeks.
I don't know.
Guys, these rules have changed. All right, I know we only have one overtime in Super Bowl history, but in case this happens, here's what we need to do.
Maybe he is more. I can't say. Maybe he's more kind of play design oriented in game situation, and someone needs to come by and be like, "Hey, these rules are important too." But yeah, that was a classic Belichick thing through the years. He was always pretty on top of those things. He made situations where they had to change rules after, like the whole tackle situation against the Ravens, where people are reporting or not reporting, and he knows exactly how to do it and how to make it happen to know these situations. And it burns the Niners here and it feels like everyone kind of, at least as fans, we were like, okay, sure, they get the ball first. The Niners go down pretty good. They get into like third and short, and Chris Jones just blows up the whole
Yep.
play, and they have to throw it away. So now it's like fourth and short, red zone. Okay, we kick the field goal. As soon as they get the ball to the Chiefs, I think it all dawns on everybody like, oh no, they should not have given them the ball second, because immediately it's like they get all
They just
four
need a touchdown.
downs.
Yep.
And they get all four downs all the way down the field. They know exactly what they need to get. And they actually know that they can go beyond that and simply end the game. Like, you're in such a more dangerous situation now because, yeah, whole time up to like whatever, 40-yard line on the opposite team, you're using all four downs. You don't care.
Yep.
You've got all the time more to get those plays across. And then you get there and you can kind of play the, do I want the field goal? No, I'm going to go for the win, and you can have it your way. Like, and the one thing Shanahan said was, I guess his reasoning, which I sort of understand, was he wanted the ball third. He figured if we both do evenly on those possessions, then I want to be the one who's driving to end the game first. And it's like, dude, but you kind
That's
of
a
forgot.
lot to hope for. You got to have a lot go your way.
In hindsight, you basically need to score that touchdown then
Yes.
to protect yourself. Because if you just kick the field goal, you're open to not getting that ball. And it's fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like, yeah. He's going to go get this whole postseason, the word that I kept feeling with him was inevitable. I was just like, if you give him the ball, if he gets it back, you're just going to lose. Like, and it pretty much happened against Josh Allen, against Lamar, and now against Shanahan and the Niners, like, which is, I got to say, a pretty impressive run by them, all on the road, or neutral site. But, yeah, as soon as that dawned on everybody, it was like, I think from now on, it's like, no, you're basically going to defer in those overtime situations. You always want the ball second, just so you know what you're dealing with. Even if they hadn't scored or if they had a touchdown, then it's like, okay, we can punt, or okay, we have to get a touchdown, and you have access to all four downs. That's the thing that blew my mind. It was like, you immediately are giving them an extra down every series because they're not going to fucking punt it. They're going for it. So I was fascinated by that. I love the rule change, and I love all the stuff that now comes off of that into the first drive, into the second drive, into maybe this third drive now. And there was also something about, I shouldn't even speak on this maybe, but there's something about the clock running down and how that actually didn't matter.
It didn't matter because the Chiefs still had a chance to finish their drive. So had overtime ended, it would have just gone to another overtime until that Chiefs drive ended.
I mean, you don't need a clock at that. Well, I guess you do if they tie it.
Exactly.
And then
it's a mute point in a sense. Like, the clock is there to kind of keep the game going, but in reality, it's a glorified.
For this drive, it doesn't matter. This drive has to end.
Yeah, like those first two drives, it's a glorified college game, but with the full field in overtime instead of
which I love. I love. I am into it. I am.
Yeah, no, because that was I'm not gonna lie, that was the first thing I noticed too. I was like, they're letting the clock run down right here.
Yeah, there's like 3 seconds left. And it's like, oh my god! In the movie, when they make the movie out of this game, it'll be like, 3, 2, catch it, 1. It's like the clock didn't matter. Also, it could have hit zeros. Like, that's my most annoying thing about all the football movies is when they're like, they have to score before it gets to 0. It's like, that's just not how this sport works. I'm sorry, you don't know, but it's not how this works. But especially for the Niners, that's just how this works.
Yeah, like the funny part is McCole Hardman said he like blacked out after catching it and didn't realize that he won the game, won the Super Bowl for the Chiefs and whatnot.
McCole Hardman.
Yeah.
What a turnaround.
The guy that signed with the Jets earlier this offseason and still made his way back to the Chiefs. Very Patriots-esque in a way. You know? Get away from the team, make a little bit of money, and it's like, all right, guess I'm headed back to my team.
Burn out on the Jets, come back to the Patriots. Yeah, I could recite a couple of those.
So, yeah, it ended up being a 25-22 win off the walk-off touchdown for the Chiefs. I thought it was a better Super Bowl than what I thought was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be a defensive struggle. I'm glad it ended up being close at the end and ended up going into overtime. Like, there's something about having, like, a blowout game where it's just not very good or anything like that. Where
for sure.
It felt like there could be a turnover at any moment because both quarterbacks had thrown an interception. Or, I don't know if Purdy did, but I know Mahomes did. Each team had fumbled the ball, too. So it was just like,
the fumbles
there was a bit more of a
crazy
tense situation between it all because certain things had already happened in the game where it's like, all right, I honestly feel like almost anything could happen right here. And I mean, I'm not too shocked, but it ended up being that the Chiefs came in and won again. I mean, it's just, you said it, Patrick Mahomes is inevitable. And
Feels like back to back, first time since my Patriots,
oh, three, oh, four, does that
which
hurt you a little
hurts.
bit?
Oh yeah, because I mean, the Seahawks almost did it, and we held them off. And a couple teams have almost done it and have failed, and every time it's like, yeah, still got it. But yeah, and the fact that it's him, and the fact that now, I mean, people are already going
We're
crazy
forever
with it, but
linked.
the train's already rolling. It feels like, and now this sets him up pretty well. I mean, the years to come will be interesting. I'm curious, but he's inevitable at this point. It feels hard to really bet against.
I think
If they three-peat though,
that'll be unbelievable.
that's where I get really scared because that's not been done in football.
Yeah. Now,
So
you
that's
got
what
some
scares
things going
me.
for you. I will say one of the uh, interesting notes for the win for Patrick Mahomes. I believe he is the highest ever paid quarterback to win the Super Bowl because usually he takes up so much of the cap room.
Yeah, he's starting to climb.
Exactly. So like that's something to keep an eye on going forward. Hence why you saw Tyreek Hill get traded a couple years ago, and some of these other bigger named receivers let go or moved on, traded.
They haven't lost a playoff game since they traded Tyreek.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So
they
I'm a little worried. This is the thing. They won this year when they had no receivers.
They had Rashid Rice, and I bet you they draft another guy.
They had a rookie in Kelsey, and there was like Valdez Scantling and McCole Hardman, and they came up in big moments. So if they, I don't know if it almost might not matter. Like he can just kind of, if he played with this offense. The thing is, can they keep this level of defense together? And having Steve Spagnuolo there, which is like such a fucking cheat code, it feels like.
Like their front line, it really comes down to Chris Jones. I mean, he's a free agent.
Signed.
They could.
Was it a one? Oh, it was just 1 year.
It was a 1 year thing.
I remember him
I mean,
out.
they could franchise him if they wanted to.
I hate the franchise tag. Yeah, I mean that would be smart.
But defensively, I think Snead is gone. Jerry Snead, his contract is up.
Right.
A couple of their defensive linemen, they're younger guys. Like Carl Loftus is only in his second year. He was a first-round draft pick, so he's got 3 more years technically.
Yeah,
he's on a team-friendly deal.
It almost feels like Spagnuolo is kind of the one that if they end up losing him to somebody, that's going to
hurt them a lot.
Because being able to just kind of handle that off as Andy Reid and let this veteran guy.
He's basically the head coach for the defense, which sounds very straightforward as being the DC, but like Andy Reid, he's got his hands all over that offense. That's what he's focusing on. Where
it makes a lot of sense.
You can just give it to Spagnuolo and he'll just run the defense. You can trust him to do that. And honestly, I don't know if he goes anywhere. I don't know if he wants to be a head coach. Obviously, he would have had opportunities.
Annoyingly, it would have
seasons, but
it would have to be a head
name
coach.
Linked anywhere.
It's not like they would. Nobody would be able to pick him off as a highly touted defensive coordinator with a chance to win the Super Bowl because it's like, he's already on the Chiefs.
He's already doing that.
So it would have to be a head coaching thing, and then it's like I don't even as good as he has been.
I don't know if he wants to do
already done it, and it didn't exactly end great. So I don't know and the age thing, it's like I don't know what team really wants to invest with him at this point. So they may just completely luck out and keep him for years, that was the tough thing about the Patriots dynasty was they would just hemorrhage coaches every season that they had a good year. They would just lose guys on guys on guys. They went through like 3 or 4 different iterations of the coaching staff. I mean,
you had like Weiss, you had Romeo Crennel, you had O'Brien at one point. You had a whole bunch of people.
Josh McDaniels like 3 different times. Brian Flores, all these different guys. Anytime they would have success, they would lose them. So that's always the biggest challenge. The thing is, the Chiefs are kind of, even though they lost Bieniemy, it's like they've got Andy Reid, so they're kind of chill there. Maybe Spags, but I don't know
really much of a big loss for them.
Well, I mean, it's just
like Bieniemy leaving. I think we both kind of came to the same conclusion that he was going to be maybe a bit more successful than he was in Washington this first year. Granted, they had great weapons to work with, but
I don't really know why they didn't give him the head coaching job. Take a chance on it.
That I don't know why either, but I thought they would have a bit more like creative play calling over there with him.
Yeah, but it makes sense that the Chiefs would survive without him. Like it's the Andy Reid Mahomes show.
100%. You knew Andy Reid was really calling plays. That was so. I was listening to Chicago radio, and yeah, I know we talked about the Kelsey running up to Andy Reid thing, and they just go, "Yeah, I think that solidifies even more that Matt Nagy does absolutely nothing for the Chiefs because if he was calling plays,
I think
Kelsey
it's
would
all
have gone up to
Chiefs.
Nagy, not up to Andy Reid." For taking him out of the game, so it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
Matt Nagy is just there, and they were making jokes like, yeah, sure, he's got a headset, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's just him
yeah.
talking to
They
himself.
just they just
Thinks he's
unplug
talking
it.
to Mahomes, but it's really just Andy
Yep,
giving up all the play calls. And
wouldn't be
um,
surprised.
but yeah, so it's just like another solid win. I guess that's 3 Super Bowls now in 5 years. He's been to 4 in his 6 seasons as a starter. He's been to 6 straight AFC title games, and I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes here.
Jesus.
Um, I just don't see that like going away anytime soon. Like, don't get me
No,
wrong. I feel like with Tom Brady, we also felt the same way. It was like this guy's just going to the AFC title game every year, and if he doesn't, then that's more of the abnormal. Just like
for sure. Yeah,
didn't make it because there were a couple times when Tom lost in the divisional round, and it was just like so it's not the Patriots' year this year. This really is sort of wide open
yeah,
for everybody, and I
yeah.
just
It does
that's
feel like we're
that's what
getting to
it's
the
going to feel
surprise
like when the
level.
Chiefs do lose in that sense. But I just don't see that happening. Like,
No,
he is a magician at the
I
quarterback
and if
position, and
if it didn't happen this year, like this was, I still can't believe the Ravens didn't beat them because this was their best chance. They were completely healthy with the better team on paper, maybe, but they still couldn't pull it off. So I don't like what are they going to do next year to get that much better that the Chiefs aren't also going to improve alongside them, get a couple pass catchers. Like it's going to be tough. And yeah, you're right. I think it's going to be a surprise if he's not in the AFC title game every
it's
year.
just like it seems like an automatic, just already put your stamp on it type thing.
Yeah,
Just
they don't
defense
play.
like that with Spags. It goes back to that. It's like
Yeah,
we know Patrick Mahomes, and then if you have the consistency of Spagnola, he's going to get his guys in the right spot.
defense was
Defensively.
so good in the Super Bowl. Like
Yeah,
it was insane. That secondary was completely shutting them down. I will say on the Niners side, because I can't talk about the Chiefs anymore. Congratulations.
yeah. Congrats.
Well, we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about them. This is just so brutal for the Niners and Kyle Shanahan specifically. Like he had another 10-point lead in another Super Bowl. This poor guy had to go against Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes twice in his Super Bowls. It's like, wow, is there anybody who's played a worse lineup of quarterbacks? Like he could be a 3-time champion right now. And if it was amazing with the way that Falcons game went, like that was insane. And then both of these,
I'll put
he's
the
had leads in
Falcons.
all of them.
I would say the last 2 Super Bowls I would probably put on Shanahan. And not this most recent one, but the Atlanta one. You know, the play calling was not there. They decided
Yes,
to not run the ball. I don't know what that
I,
whole deal
I
was.
agree.
And then the Garoppolo 49ers Super Bowl was kind of a similar situation where they were trying
Yeah,
to throw the ball late in the game where it's like
I
you
agree.
don't need to do that. Why are you trying to get all tricked with them and
Yeah,
trying to make them think one way and then you do this other thing and
yeah,
it really shoots you in the
but
foot. This time
he
around
didn't
I
he
don't
didn't do it this time. It felt like he did a pretty good job.
but you're right. This one wasn't on him. It was the Chiefs' defense came alive, specifically the third quarter,
And the two
where
unlucky,
they shut
and
down
yeah,
everything offensively for the 49ers, where it seemed like the Chiefs' defense was almost Swiss cheese for most of that first quarter.
and they still were in such a good spot. That muffed punt, I keep coming back to because
Yep.
they were getting the ball back up with. I mean, they could just more time to burn, and it just
Yep.
completely turns 7 points on them. Like that is so. And then you can't plan for that. You can yell Peter as much as you want. The guy's blocking. He's engaged. It just randomly
Yeah.
bounced off his leg.
It's one of those freak plays, yeah, because exactly what you said. He's engaged with somebody. He's trying to block. He thinks the
Can't really
ball's
get
not
out of there.
necessarily near him, and when it
No,
lands, yeah, that ball can go anywhere.
it's random. It just happened to land on his calf and bounce right into the Chiefs' hands. So
Yeah,
that's really tough. I will say, like, think Brock Purdy might have elevated himself above pumpkin status for me. He played
I
a
already
pretty good game.
I already felt that way for the most part. I mean, he had a couple throws here and there, but what quarterback doesn't throughout a game? I
Yeah. Well, the guy on the other side, but that doesn't
Well, yeah.
count.
Well, yeah, that's Patrick Mahomes. Well, he did have an interception, so he does have those throws.
I don't remember that. I will say
He overthrew. I don't know if he was trying to hit Kelsey or the receiver behind him, but it was between them where there wasn't a receiver. There's just
Huh.
49 defender that
Was
came
that
up.
early in the game, I guess?
It was in the second half.
Huh. I don't remember this. See,
Uh,
the Holmes media is already getting to me. It's already been wiped from my brain, and I prefer to remember it.
but
It's the damn TikTok.
yeah, gosh darn TikTok and our pea
I don't
brains that
even.
can only last for 3 seconds at a time now.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the 49ers,
Yeah.
I like
Brock
what
Purdy played
He
well.
did. I really didn't feel like he didn't lose them the game or anything like that. And I think that's what a lot of people were waiting for was like
Yeah.
he's going to have a moment where it's too big for him or whatever. But he was putting passes in great spots. He had good anticipation. Like I'm specifically
He had some
remembering
nice throws.
like a 10-yard in route. He got it just behind the linebacker.
Yeah.
And his eyes were looking
Yeah,
this
right
way,
on the
threw the
hip.
linebacker to the right, and then he threw it just past him to the left to his receiver. And so, like, he played a very good game. If anybody thinks he's
Yeah.
underrated anymore, or
I don't think he's a pumpkin.
overrated, I should say.
The pumpkin's the word you're looking for.
Yeah.
I no longer think he's a pumpkin. He proved himself above a game manager for me, which is pretty big. And
I think he did that in the
that's a
NFC
lot.
title game when he was using his
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah.
When he
Yeah,
used his
yes.
legs is when I think that more opened things up where it's like, all right, he's realizing what he can actually do to help extend the game or extend his play.
Maybe the one thing that we needed a little bit more of in this game was
you didn't see
some
that.
of those, and maybe that was nerves. I don't know, but
like some of
there's
some
a future,
of it nerve, but some of it is also you had Chris Jones coming up the middle where you couldn't step up and move out of the pocket and manipulate the pocket as much as you wanted to.
But I get it now, and I'm intrigued by the future for him, and it's so cheap, it makes sense to do so. Yeah, I think they're in a pretty good spot. Ironically, they're the favorites already for next year, which is like.
Well, I guess offensively, you're not losing anybody,
Chiefs.
right? McCaffrey's still there. Purdy's there. Debo's not going anywhere right now, right? Is Ayuk still there, or is he done?
I think he's got one more year.
He's going. So, like, you're bringing back most people. Kittle's still there. I think so. I was talking about Kittle being
the Chiefs. The Chiefs should be the favorites. I don't. But,
oh no, yeah.
But I like the sexiness of the offense, I guess.
Kittle, I said was going to be the X factor. What I thought was going to be the X factor, and he, for the most part, was not used in the passing game.
He had like a big play early.
Yeah, he was underutilized. I mean, his blocking was what I thought was going to be the
Juwan Jennings was the X factor. His throwing ability.
He was. So,
and he's also elevated above game manager for me. I think he's an above average quarterback.
Yes, Juwan Jennings. Well, he was 1-for-1 with a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
How many people have that passer rating in the Super Bowl? He's probably set the record. It's Tom Brady, him. Like I'm sure it's, and then a couple other people. Nick Foles.
Do you remember the last wide receiver to throw a touchdown in the Super Bowl?
I want to say like Jacoby Jones for the Ravens, but I don't think that's true.
Older than that.
Is this pre or post 2000?
Detroit Rock City when the Super Bowl happened. Steelers, Seahawks, Antoine Randall.
I choose not to remember that game because the officiating was so horrendous that they gave the Steelers the game.
Man, he's getting his Super Bowl in his hometown. Anyways, so we're going to change the subject a little bit, though. Like, do you have any more final thoughts on the Super Bowl? I mean, I feel like we did a pretty good job of wrapping that one up.
Mahomes is inevitable, brutal for the Niners. They're still going to be good, it feels like. That's mostly it.
Did you have a favorite commercial? Mine was the Dun Kings, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Tom Brady made a little appearance into it. I thought that was so funny.
I 100% agree. That was the number one by far. That was great because it's like a real life thing. It makes sense. It's like, she's a singer. He's gonna go. Tom Brady's there. Oh, Matt Damon's there, and he's embarrassed. He does the apples line, but it's with Duncan.
It's like, how do you like them, Duncan? It's like, I'm sorry.
It was perfect. It was like, it was one of like maybe I don't think there was that many good ones this year. They'd all just kind of like call famous people
early now. It's no longer the appeal of like, oh, I gotta watch the commercials. They all come out a week ahead.
Yeah, I saw the Tina Fey one like for a week before it was on the Super Bowl. And then it was Super Bowl, and I was like, oh, this
Plus one,
good.
Where like Arnold gets thrown against the mountain, like.
Okay, that one I saw for the first day. I loved that. That was pretty good.
Oh, I saw that one. We saw that one a week ahead of time.
I didn't see that even at the Super Bowl. I saw that yesterday, I think.
Oh, really?
It was like, this is a funny commercial. There weren't a great crop of commercials this year, I feel. There weren't that many that I loved. I mean, I really liked the Duncan one. the movie trailers I kind of tend to show up for a little bit more because those are their first looks at a lot of new things.
My brother and I had a conversation about this, and
Oh,
so obviously it's $7 million for like a full
obviously.
whatever ad for the commercial this year. And my brother goes, "There's a lot of full trailer online now." It's like, yeah, they're not going to spend,
Yeah, they did the 30 second
like
spot.
30 seconds. They're not going to do a full 90 or 2 minute spot. I mean,
Yeah,
like that's $28
absolutely
million
not.
dollars. That's like your entire marketing budget. So you're
Yeah,
getting all these 30-second little clips of
trailer for a trailer. Yeah,
yes, and then the what I think is always humorous is these are movies that aren't even coming out in the next like month or two. They come out in
well,
like 7 months.
yeah,
Like, all right, this movie's coming out in August. It's like, oh,
yeah.
cool. I gotta wait 6 more months. Awesome.
Fantastic.
Like, thanks for getting me excited. I guess I don't really
Yeah.
know. Was there anyone that you were specifically waiting on? Like my brother wanted to see the Deadpool 3 one.
I'm trying to remember.
And then I
Yes.
think he like released it early anyways online, and my brother's like, "Do I need to keep watching the Super Bowl then?"
Yeah, it's like the start of the game. It was like it's already online. I was like, what? I don't understand. Yeah, but well, it's no longer called Deadpool 3. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah,
I don't know how I follow all this stuff behind the scenes, so I knew Hugh Jackman and everything was in it. Maybe that was
yeah,
or
same
wasn't
here.
common knowledge. Okay, but uh, yeah, I was kind of intrigued. I was, and I'm already very much like it's the Marvel universe is kind of done for me after Guardians ended.
Well, I heard this is the only movie for Marvel this year too, which I think is good for them.
Yes,
They sort of oversaturated the market on all these superhero movies, and
yeah,
like
the
there was
shows
the allure of
especially.
leading up to Endgame and Infinity War and stuff like that, and then after,
Yes.
I think everybody needed a break, but Marvel just kept
Yeah, I
pushing
like
them
that they
out.
went the other way. Yeah, in my opinion, they would have. It would have been so great, and they never were going to be able to do this because of money. But to
Yeah,
take like a 2 year break at least,
I was gonna say like even just a year break, just
yeah.
step away, let it breathe.
Instead, they put out like six shows that maybe one and a half were good. Like,
Loki.
yeah, Loki and like the first half of WandaVision was intriguing because it was the first bit of anything we'd gotten. But other than that, it was not great returns. But this one, I don't know. To me, it's like the fourth wall Deadpool stuff. I was very done with after Deadpool. Deadpool 2, I like kind of saw eventually and didn't. It bounced off of me. But I don't know if this one could be good. He's working with more of the Marvel stuff, I guess. Hugh Jackman's back. I'm still very wary, but I got a general good vibe from the trailer.
I haven't seen the trailer yet, so I don't know. This is all just
Oh,
me thinking off the top of my
you
head.
just saw the teaser for the trailer?
I just saw the teaser, yeah.
Okay.
So
There wasn't much more. They didn't even show Hugh Jackman in it.
here's what I think of it as. Have you seen the original like Evil Dead's?
Yeah.
Okay, and then they made Army of Darkness, which is sort of like
Yeah.
a comedic sort of
Yeah.
spin off of it. That's sort of how I feel like Hugh Jackman might be in this one, where like Wolverine is such a serious character.
He's a chainsaw arm. I'm in.
Well,
He sort of does. I guess he sort of does.
he's got the blades.
He's got some weaponry.
But like I could see him being not a total comedic aspect to the movie, but him having a bit more funny parts to it to make it fit into the Deadpool movie.
I'm just
Wow.
the fourth wall stuff can wear on me pretty quick, and if it goes in certain directions, I can bounce off of it quite
It
a
has
lot.
to be. I don't want to say subtle, but it just can't be overused.
So I'm curious how they do it. If they're gonna use it to introduce different stuff. I mean, they're kind of just faffing about until they get to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, which I don't know if you saw, but there was an announcement this morning.
Oh no, I did not see
Or
this.
I don't even know if it's an announcement. Maybe it was just a report. But it's been what's reported for a while. But the Fantastic Four cast is out there.
Oh, I heard that Pedro was officially Mr.
Yes.
Fantastic. I didn't hear anybody else though. Who else is? Who the other three?
Vanessa Kirby is Miss Fantastic. You know who she is? I love her. She's great. She's in Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay.
Technically she's in Hobbs and Shaw, but we don't like to talk about that. She's in the most recent Mission Impossible. She's in she's in one of the Bond movies.
What is it, Vanessa? What?
Vanessa Kirby. She's staggeringly beautiful, I will say. So
yes, another
don't hate that.
blonde lady that looks like every other
Yes,
blonde in Hollywood.
but she's great in the Fallout movies. I can see her doing well. The guy who is Human Torch was Did you see the latest season of Stranger Things?
Yes, I have
He
seen the newest
he
season
was
of Stranger
like the rocker guy who plays the song at the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
The
Okay.
I am, and then they got
Interesting choice.
yeah, yeah, and then they got the cousin from the bear. Is he the cousin? Like the
You're talking
oh
like the sous chef dude or whatever?
yeah, yeah.
He's like abrasive and
The guy who's
loud
not
and
yes, yeah, he's like not into it in the first season.
yeah.
He's the thing.
What?
It very much was like, who's hot right now? Let's get them. So I mean, and it's like he can play a sad sack. Whoever's the thing, you don't need them to look like anything.
Well,
It's like
that's true. Like
it's a
I don't know. I'm
CGI
just thinking of,
monster. Although they nailed the cast, they nailed the casting the first time. I will say
you said the whoever played the thing the first time. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
the guy
But
from The Shield, yeah,
yes,
Michael
yes.
Chiklis.
I thought he was a great thing.
He looks like the thing too. He's a big round ball. The problem is they nailed the casting with whoever the hell plays Mister Fantastic, who just fits that role, and Chris Evans, Human Torch, Jessica Alba,
That
whatever.
was that was a not a
It might be.
that was a
Are we
hot
allowed to
looking
say
thing.
I?
Put in
Yeah,
the
are we
movie.
allowed to say eye candy move? Like that's what it was at the time, especially in
Yeah.
the mid 2000s. Like Jesus
Well,
Christ,
she was the hot name. She was the
holy hell,
actress at
she
the
was the
time.
hot everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe the Vanessa Kirby thing is a similar thing here. I am still ironically most worried about the Pedro Pascal part. Like
Yeah, you mentioned that from the very beginning.
it
Yeah.
doesn't the casting of it for this character. I don't think is a total one for one. He's a great actor,
They
so
need to
it's
salt and pepper
probably
his hair. Let it salt and pepper.
it's
I
probably
don't
going to be
know.
fine. Well, it's not even the look. It's just like Mr. Fantastic is just the smartest person in the universe. He is like a pure science nerd guy who can make
Has he ever
anything.
played a
And
role where he's supposed to be super smart?
I, I
I don't. That's a
no,
real question.
I can't really think of any. Like he's mostly like he's like a more of like a street smarts character in all of whatever he plays, and he's kind of
Mhm.
off the cuff, funny, gruff kind of dad mode. Like, but I don't know. He's great though, so it'll probably be fine. But that is what I've heard. So that's at least a step in the right direction because it's the X-Men and it's Fantastic Four and all this other stuff that you tried to get off the ground. Well, you kind of you didn't really land it. You didn't. I don't know. You bunted it right into the pitcher and you're out. Like time to go again. So maybe things will get better. We'll see. But that had nothing to do with the Super Bowl trailers. Anyways, the other ones I watched.
That was Nerd Corner. Yeah, that was Nerd Corner.
I wasted it on.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, there's the one that I'm into is the new Planet of the Apes trailer.
That's okay. See, I didn't see
I'm
that
also
one. I keep
pretty
seeing that
wary.
pop up on my social media, but I haven't seen that new trailer yet.
I ended up watching the whole thing. I'm still just very wary because it's not Andy Serkis. That trilogy is like almost a perfect modern trilogy. As far as or any trilogies, like it's up there in my opinion as far as the best trilogies. And I, it's not the same creative team behind the camera or any of that. Like it was Matt Reeves doing those, who went on to
Yeah,
make Batman. Like,
yeah.
and I have to look this up because the guy who's making this new one was already I was already sus on him because he was making something else. And I
Mm.
think I talked about this in a prior nerd corner at some point. But let me look this up real quick because I'm a little apprehensive. West Ball. Oh yeah, he's the Maze Runner guy. So
Hmm.
that does not.
Oh yeah, I do remember you talking about him.
Oh, because he's making the new Zelda movie. That's what.
Yes,
That's right. He's making the
yes.
live action Zelda, and it's directed by the guy who made Maze Runner and like the writers of some terrible. So I don't know, and the writers of this movie. We'll see. But it looked mostly okay. I can't. The visual effects weren't necessarily better. They might have not have been as good, but I enjoy that world. It's a fun sci-fi world. It looks like they're just kind of doing a. I don't know. They're gonna do some. One of the apes thinks humans are worth something, so he's gonna go against his ape crew to defend a human, and things will happen from there. It seems like I don't know because we're like halfway into the world now, where all the humans are just like dumb dogs.
Did the astronauts return yet?
Well,
I
no, and
don't remember that in the third
I
one.
don't
Or
think we'll see them return because technically, I believe in the canon that's like the Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes 1968 shuttle. So like we're not going to get there for another 1,000 years.
but like
And in my
I
opinion,
know
they
this.
shouldn't
I know
touch
this
that.
one takes place way after Caesar and everything else like
It's like
that.
I think this
But
is like
like,
a midway point.
okay, I was gonna say because in the very first one of this rebooted trilogy series, whatever you want to call it now,
Yeah, it's like modern.
they do tease that the shuttle is missing. You only see it in the headline, but then you never hear about it again. So I'm just curious.
I may be wrong, but to me, that was the shuttle in the first Planet of the Apes movie from 1968 with Charlton Heston. They send a shuttle off from Earth. It comes back. I don't know what it is, 2,000 years later, and
Something
the
like that.
planet's taken over.
I
So
thought
like,
it got like lost or something. I don't remember the exact
and
details. I thought it got
I
lost.
don't remember the science of how they ended up on the Planet of the Apes. But I think they just like got lost in some time thing, and or maybe went through
A
a
wormhole or
wormhole, and
something.
it came out 2,000 years later back on Earth. But in my opinion, they should never even get to that because it's like those movies already exist. Unless you're just remaking those movies, which like I don't.
I mean,
What
it
are we
seems
doing?
like they're leading right back into it. That's what this whole thing is. I'm not saying they are going to, but like
It's
maybe
possible.
maybe it leads up to that
Yes,
original one and then it stops
yeah,
or whatever. Like,
I could see like the final of this new trilogy being this spaceship coming down, and we see
you damn
CGI
dirty
Charlton
ape!
Heston. Yeah, maybe it is a little bit closer. In my opinion, I would prefer it's just isolated and you tell your own story, but there's little threads on either end. But so I
Well,
don't know
I mean,
that one could be good. We'll see. The only other ones, the Wicked trailer came out, actually looked kind of good. I don't know why. I was kind of into it, but I don't really know anything about it.
never saw the
Musical.
play. Never really had a whole.
Which to me that kind of intrigues me. It's like I don't know what this is. Okay, if you throw a big budget at Ariana Grande's in it, which I don't know if that makes me feel like it'll be a good movie or not. But uh, and then there's one other. I mean, Twisters, which actually looks kind of good. Like Glenn Powell is a guy who I want to see in more movies. I really like his energy, especially off Top Gun. And there's something else. Oh, he was in Scream Queens way back in the day, which is a big guilty
Oh,
pleasure of mine.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, that show also has Ariana Grande. That show is iconic. Big guilty pleasure in college. But,
Um,
so I'm excited for that. And I don't think I'll be excited for Twisters.
Same. I saw that one. Obviously, you saw my tweet that I quote tweeted with the. It was like it was Kelsey yelling at Andy Reid, like the first one was perfect. There's no Bill
Yeah,
Paxton. What are you doing? And yeah, I mean,
I'm
don't get me
intrigued.
wrong. There's certainly a nostalgia. There's no Philip Seymour Hoffman, R.I.P. But like,
Yeah,
I remember hearing that they were going to be doing another Twisters movie.
it always seemed like a joke. Yeah,
Same. I need to see a cow though, going
yeah,
in circles. I need
yeah.
to
It
see that scene remade,
didn't
please.
quite get to that level. Or well, now they're gonna have to top it because it's the big new CGI version. So maybe it'll be like an elephant. It'll be
Oh,
a zoo,
like
an
a zoo,
entire.
picturing a zoo. Yeah.
The elephant will like be holding onto a light pole by its trunk, and then it'll start
Well,
spinning around the trunk,
you know what they need to do.
like that festival where they wrap the ribbon around the pole. But it's an elephant, and then they just rip him up into the tornado. That
I
would
was
be
gonna
fun.
say, it takes place in like Oklahoma, doesn't it? It goes through the Tiger King
Yes.
Sanctuary. All the tigers now are in the
Oh
Twister.
God. A Tiger King crossover. That actually fits about the relevance that Twister has to us that Tiger King would to us.
It'll fit everybody together. It's fun.
Oh, that it's bringing people together. The Twister movies.
Oh, but that's kind of.
Twisters.
I don't really have any other thoughts on the halftime, or not halftime, excuse me, on the commercials.
Okay. I was gonna say we gotta at least touch on the halftime.
Yeah,
That's the final
for
thing.
sure. For sure, hit a lot of
Pretty good.
nostalgic chords there.
Well, yes, very 2000s performance.
100%. I saw one tweet where it was like, if you didn't at least illegally download one of these songs, then you are not old enough for this halftime show. I was like, yeah, that definitely hits. That one.
Yeah.
That one's right on point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. The game at that point was very slow.
Yep.
So I think anything would have been great. And I was worried he wouldn't have the songs to kind of get through this, but he made it work. He's just a performer, man, and that's the biggest thing you need. And
Drenched in sweat.
dancing around, started stripping at one point, and it was like, whoa, okay, all right.
Yeah, I noticed that my wife really started to turn toward the
crazy.
TV at that moment.
Yeah.
Really
All
locked in.
eyes. It was pretty fun. Well, the Alicia Keys cameo or duet or whatever, they're going back and forth. The intro to Lil Jon in the crowd doing "Turn Down for What" was pretty great. With the camera right in there, going ham with them.
Yep. I
And then
like.
bringing them on. And then
I'm
Luda
always a
came
sucker
out with
for
the
Ludacris.
afro. Oh, I was a complete
Yeah.
sucker for Luda.
Yeah.
Luda came out and saying, "Luda,
Yeah.
it's so good." You got it. That was great. And yeah, they all drew like the whole ending where they're like in the rhinestone football gear and like kind of chilling. I was like, this is dope. This is also the ending of a Fast and Furious movie, but
the suits reminded me of Eddie Murphy's Raw. Like the latex purple and black suits or whatever that they were
They kind of
wearing.
remind me of what was it, like Rolo Jim, whoever was in the bad guys in the dodgeball movie?
Globo Jim.
Jim? It looked like that with just some extra sparkles.
Yeah. Had to have the little ad pieces in there too.
Yeah, but it was a good time.
It was pretty entertaining. I heard some people shitting on it, which I didn't totally get. I think those are just people who want clicks or something like that. I mean, like, was it Prince and Purple Rain in the Rain? No, but it was entertaining, and I was bobbing my head to the music, and
he was out there dancing. He did some things.
It did exactly what he wanted it to do. I heard there was a 40% bump in his ticket sales for his tour, specifically after his Super Bowl performance.
Okay. Also, he was in like 4 commercials. I feel like during the Super Bowl, and there was a Joe. He's like, "Well, don't you have somewhere to be?" He's like, "I guess I better get there." And like walks up. It's like it's the first quarter.
Yeah, it's like I'm over there. Yeah.
There's some good viral marketing throughout. They're getting better at that, which is scary. Okay, what was the last thing? I think maybe there was a bunch of, what was it, Temu ads? Oh, you remember seeing those? Yeah. They were spending buku dollars on whatever that.
I don't even know what it is. It's some online purchasing thing, right? I don't even know.
Yeah. Yes. Is this the next way that we're being invaded? First TikTok, now this? I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounded like some kind of Chinese commerce app, but I have no basing on if that's true or not.
Do you remember?
Is it like Wish?
I was about to say it's another Wish.
Yeah, buy your cheap pants on Wish, and they come 68 days later in the wrong color.
Thin, like bad material, buttons falling off.
It struck me as that kind of vibe, but I have no idea.
Same.
But yeah, they were throwing
as they're listening in on us right now. I didn't say any of that. I swear.
Yeah, no, all good here.
But yeah, I didn't. I thought there was like a somewhat humorous one with Michael Cera doing the CeraVe.
That was also a good one. I like that.
The moisturizer. I was like,
all
right, that was
CeraVe.
Yeah, that was a smart play by them. I like that one.
I don't really remember many others. There's a lot of cameos, like the Schwarzenegger State Farm thing. It's like he doesn't say the R. It's like, got it. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. You can't say words. Yep.
They were running ads for this ad for like 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, and I was like, that was it. Okay, they brought Danny DeVito in, made the juniors or twins jokes. I always forget which of those is which, but
twins. Him and Danny DeVito. Yeah.
Well, I think he's in junior too, but I think they're making the twins.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because he wasn't pregnant at the end of the ad. I don't remember that. Yeah, then there was just a lot of random cameos walking through the screen. Dan Marino was in almost as many ads as Usher.
Yeah, I know he popped up in that like Lionel Messi Michelob Ultra ad.
That was it. I like that one. I like ones where it's just like, here's Messi playing soccer for 30 seconds. It's like, cool.
Like, that was fine.
I love this. This is great.
I thought it was so funny because both my wife and my mom were like, "Who is this guy?" I said, "Oh, it's Lionel Messi, only the best soccer player in the world."
Yeah.
He's only won the Palme d'Or.
Ballon d'Or?
Yeah, whatever it is. He's only won that 4 or 5 times. No big deal.
Yeah, he's okay. But yeah, a little bit of a lackluster year, but in terms of ads and stuff. But
do you have like a all-time favorite Super Bowl ad? I can think of one off the top of my head right now. Actually, I can think of 2. First one was probably I think it was probably like 09, 10 maybe, but Eminem was the voiceover for a Chrysler commercial when they were in Detroit. I thought that was a really good one.
Spoken to my heart. Well, I was going to say Eminem Sprite ad.
Oh, Sprite ad.
Was it Sprite or Sierra Mist at one point? It was like a little puppet, and they were all like little rooms of his mansion. He was like recording music or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's just one I remember.
3, because then there was a
2 Eminem ones, and then another.
No. It was the Eminem one. Then there was a Clint Eastwood narrated one around the same time as that Eminem one.
Ah,
So it was a
with
car
a
commercial. I can't remember
with a
what.
chair, right, or something, an empty chair.
No. It's just his voiceover during a car commercial, like saying like "We're America Tough" or something like that.
Oh,
It was just like the nostalgia of hearing Clint Eastwood's voice, just
okay.
being Clint
Mhm.
Eastwood. And then the third one is very old. I don't know if you'll remember this or not because I was pretty young. This was during the Tampa Bay Bucks
No,
Oakland Raiders Super Bowl.
get the fuck out of here.
Terrible Terry Tate. It was a Reebok commercial where he went around. He was an office linebacker, and he would just blow your shit up if you were not being productive at work.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna have to. I'll have to send you that one because they ended
I
up
don't.
making 3 additional ones, and that were pretty funny.
Nice. I don't know if I have any off the top of my head. I remember a lot of like Doritos commercials every year.
I feel
Like
like
there
Doritos didn't
was.
have that many this year.
I
They
don't
usually
know.
put up like 4 or 5, and
Yeah, I don't necessarily remember one from this year. I always remember one where some kid goes into like a cardboard time machine or
Time
something.
Machine. Yeah, that was like
Except
3 or 4 years
I
ago.
don't
Yeah,
even remember what happens after that or anything. But
you're
and
so old.
there's all the great GoDaddy ads. You know, big fan of those. No
Oh,
particular
Danica
reason.
Patrick from like the mid 2000s or
Yeah,
aughts or whatever. Yeah,
very mid 2000s. She should have been in that Usher halftime show too. Just bring all the mid 2000s
just bring it all back.
nostalgia in. You know, that's what it was all about. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Eminem Sprite ad #1.
Um, do you want to talk anything else with Super Bowl? I know we're already at a little over an hour, so
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. I think we got a lot in there and stuffed some extras.
definitely stuff some extras. Do you want to jump in a nerd corner, or shall we talk a little Dame Return?
I guess let's blow through the Dame return since it happened.
Okay, yeah.
Dame, re-
So it's
Dame
been a couple
returned.
weeks now.
It
Yeah,
happened. Came back to Portland uh, with his new team. There was a lot of standing ovations and just videos and
as
tributes
deserved.
and tears and emotions. Yeah, it was an emotional night. Bit of a weird night too. But yeah, they came in. Giannis was in town. Everyone was there. Pretty much everyone played for us. It was actually a great game, and we actually beat them, which was awesome.
Saw that.
Anthony Simons had some great closing buckets, and then they had a chance, and we kind of smothered Dame, and they ended up getting it to Brook Lopez, and he just straight up took the shot. Didn't even think about plenty of time on the clock. Could have gotten it back to Dame. He just took the shot, playing no good, and then we ended up pulling out. Yeah, Brook Lopez doesn't care about Dame's return. He's here to get a bucket. He did not get that bucket. Yeah, the Blazers actually pulled off the win, which was nice. It's a nice little, I don't know. It was like, cool, this is good. But also, it's like, maybe you shouldn't have left. To tell you. Look, we were missing out on.
That bridge had burned between him and ownership, mainly the ownership on Dame. Than
Yeah.
necessarily the other way around, I
I
think.
don't know. He's just also been making like strange comments recently of like, yeah, I'd love. He said it when he was there. He was like, I'd love to come back to Portland after I win a ring. And I was like, what? Okay.
I can't win one with you.
And then, and then like this week, he said like, I'd love to be a part owner of the Blazers after I retire. And I was like, what, dude? Just
That is
where you're over there, just play basketball, try to win a championship, and then maybe things will happen after that. It feels a little bit weird to me sometimes when those quotes come out. I'm just like, dude.
I mean, it's a little strange because he's playing for a different team, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you know, you want to put stake into a team that he spent over 10 years here, didn't he?
Yeah, I feel like it's so weird, especially if you there was a sign in the crowd that was like, "Go win your ring and then come back home."
I did
And
see
it's
that
like,
sign. Yep.
to me as a fan, that is a bit of a pathetic statement for your team to be like,
you don't believe in your team to win.
We
a ring
love you so much. You're the best. Anyways, you can go now. Go somewhere else and win your ring, and then come back and slum it with us idiots who are just gonna lose a bunch of games as we suck. But we suck so much that we'll just accept your charity because we don't even care. Like we're just happy to have you back. We just have a team. We don't care how much we actually compete or not. It's just like, Jesus, man, could you be more pathetic? Like,
It sounded very Morty-esque right there.
it gets to that point where it's like, come on, I understand that there's a lot of emotions built up there, and maybe it would be nice to have him back, but also it's like, this is a competitive organization, and we're also trying to win. This isn't just like a happy fun times farm. I and also then it's like so then your best player in franchise history. There's also that little part you have to write in where he went to a better team and won a championship and then came back
Yeah.
and continued to slum it with you. Like, what a weird legacy to write. I just
LeBron.
it's, it's so weird. I don't like it. Sorry that. Yeah,
It is a strange concept to think about because you're just saying like we know we're not good enough to win a championship, even if you're on our team.
no.
Go win one, go get what you deserve, and then come back and
And
hang
we'll
out with
blow
us
up our
forever.
team again just to get you back because we don't
Yeah,
care about winning. We just want the best that we can hope for is to have you on our team. That is the best our franchise can do. It's just very like defeatist, or I don't know. I don't really like that mentality. I would rather. It's yeah. I mean, I would have rather kept trying, but yeah, things went the way
I'm
they did.
I'm with you. I mean that whole fiasco that happened over the summer that
Because
led to
to
the trade and stuff. I mean,
because to me, the whole like everybody else, I guess, is a lot better at just being like, "What a great tenure! That was awesome." To me, it's like that was a failure. That we failed. We failed so bad that we had to trade him somewhere else. So now that and then for him to get the ring and then come back and then it's like what I personally it just feels very sad. It's just like well he won somewhere else. It's like if the Thunder after Kevin Durant left just gave up on everything and then he left the Warriors and they were like we'll take you back. We don't even care. We'll give you a max contract and we'll win 30 games the rest of our tenure as long as you come back. Please, Kevin, come back.
no.
It's I I don't really like that. So yeah, I'm sure that's what you were anticipating on the Dame return stuff. Yeah,
It was.
it's an emotional weird ball that you have to unravel, and it's going to continue to be that way, I guess, if he's going to come back in 20 years and own the team with Phil Knight, even though he's an
Yeah.
Adidas guy. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yes, yeah, it's an Adidas guy. Yeah, no,
That's
funny.
weird.
Other things around the NBA. There was a trade deadline that happened. I didn't. Nothing really happened. I mean, a couple of names that people might know moved, but for the most part,
Yeah,
you said it before we got on. It was a lot of role
depth,
players
rust. Yeah,
and players.
the biggest moves happened before the actual deadline, like the OG Anunoby thing, the Pascal
Yeah.
Siakam thing.
Yeah, which
Everything after that was kind of smaller level.
Oh, the
filling
Bulls didn't
out.
make a trade. They haven't done anything at the trade deadline in like 4 years now.
I don't know what they are doing with their lives.
I don't know, but they should have blown it up last year, and they didn't do
Yeah.
anything at the trade deadline. And then this year, I mean,
We're
they
almost on like the third year of man, they should have blown this up. Why are we still doing this? And they're still doing it.
well, they hosed themselves too by having Levine go get surgery, so you can't move him. Like, and that's all they've been trying to do and get off
Yeah.
him. You could have traded DeRozan
Yeah.
and gotten some assets back. You could have traded Vooch for anybody.
Anything.
I would have taken a fucking left tube sock for Vucevic right now.
I thought DeRozan would have been really nice on Philly if Joel ever comes back, but I think they ended up getting Buddy Hield, which is like some nice shooting around him
and
as
they
well.
got Lowry too. Not
Did
that
they?
he's the 76ers. Yeah, he had his contract bought out and then he signed with the 76ers.
It's to be
What a
assessed.
strange concept of the NBA of the contract buyouts.
I love the NBA's contract. It makes so much more sense to me
you
than the NFL.
you don't see that with any other sport, really. You don't really see that with baseball, do you? I don't think you see that with baseball. You definitely don't see
You
football.
got to tell me. Well, maybe there's just too much money involved with the baseball contracts to buy them out. But there's still stuff where like they're like paying guys who retired 5 years ago in baseball, right? Because like they have to pay
100%.
contracts.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Ken Griffey Jr. still gets paid. Everybody was talking
right.
about Bobby Bonilla, but Ken Griffey Jr. is still getting paid.
So I don't know if that's just like a more of a fact of like baseball contracts are astronomically higher numbers for longer periods of time.
You want to spread it out a little bit.
Whereas like NBA, a lot of times you're buying out like a expiring
1.25
expiring contract. Maybe it's 12 mil or something, but it's like it's 1 year. You can eat that, I guess. Supposedly.
That's right off.
Yeah. Just make a movie about the Wile E. Coyote and then write it off.
Make a movie about Batgirl. Write it off.
No one ever has to see it.
Nobody ever has to see the goddamn thing. So yeah, nothing really happened in the trade deadline in the NBA, which I can't say I'm like terribly shocked. I didn't really expect too many big names to move. There was that rumor for a moment that the Lakers were open to trading LeBron, and then his quickly squashed at the very next day.
Well, there was
We're not moving him.
There was a report today that the Warriors tried to add him at the deadline, which would have been insane.
That's like
Uh,
your villain going to that team. Like Warriors used to be the top-notch team. When I say this, they were like, "Oh my God, it's the Warriors! Like,
for
great
four
for them, great
straight
for them!"
years.
And then it's like they win, and each year they win, they go down a little bit more in everybody's eyes. If they would have gotten LeBron to go for another title, I don't think anybody would want to be a Warriors fan outside of like that core group. You know,
Yeah,
I
well, I mean, you got all the LeBron
everyone.
fans. You got all the LeBron fans. You got all the Warriors fans. It would be a tough turnaround because LeBron was the Warrior rival all those years when they were
Right?
at their best. It was Warriors Cavs, Warriors Cavs.
Yeah,
So
for 4 straight years.
it would be intriguing. I mean, it'd probably be like a Klay Thompson flip and some stuff. Uh,
He's willing to take a smaller role now too, which I thought was kind of
well,
hard to believe with
yeah,
what he's been able to do with that team. But
the play is starting to warrant it with his age and stuff with Klay.
I see. I still think of him as like 7 years ago, just knocking down threes like nobody's business. That's where my mind is trapped with the
He can
Warriors.
do it once in a while, but it is no longer quite that consistent. And the defensive, I mean,
Oh,
since
he's always
the
been somewhat of a defensive liability. That's never
well,
been.
since the Achilles and the ACL. Before that, he was quite good. I felt like on the perimeter, he had a lot of size, but he can't
Okay.
move his feet quite as much anymore.
Well, that'll
Um,
happen.
but so yeah, we'll see. Them and the Lakers are both like 9-10 seeds, but are very doable. The West is wide open right now. Like the Minnesota's number one, but I just don't really believe in it.
I don't believe
I've
in that.
seen
Yeah.
I've seen the Rudy Gobert teams be exposed in the playoffs for like 5 straight years, so I don't really buy it. And then you have Cat, who's pretty prone to blowing up. I love Anthony Edwards, but it's still early for him, and I don't really love those other two big pieces. Who just played the Blazers last night and beat us, I will say. And we play them
How hard
again.
is that though?
They're going to beat us
I mean,
again. They kill us most of the time. But we beat them last year with Shaden Sharp and a bunch of G League guys. So that is still in my head as well. That was basically the same team. So it makes you wonder. They got Mike Conley though. Maybe they're okay. But yeah, not too much in the NBA. I think things will start heating up, and we'll start. I mean, the All Star games happening and those selections happen, but I don't know. Most of the people who should have got in got in.
you bring up the All Star game. Are you interested in seeing the dunk contest or the 3-point contest? Like, I'm somewhat interested in the Ionescu Curry 3
Well,
point.
this is the thing. So that's a separate
Oh, that's not
thing.
even part of the All Star weekend.
Well, it is, but it's not part of the 3-point contest.
It's just its own thing.
It's its own thing because they announced the 3-point contest. I was like, okay, Dame, Malik Beasley, and I was like, Steph's not in this? This is not even. Why are we even doing this contest? Steph's not in it. And I was like, oh well, he's doing like a 1v1. It's like, just what the fuck are you talking? Just put them both in the contest. What?
Yeah,
It's all a 1v. They're all going solo. What do you talk? Just put them in here. So now
doesn't make any sense.
I don't know how you can have a 3-point contest without Steph. That doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense.
one of the
Doesn't make any
most
sense.
prolific 3-point shooter of
The
all
best,
time.
the best shooter ever.
Yeah.
Not going to invite him because he's doing this little solo thing. It doesn't make sense to me. The dunk contest has been dead for a while. Weirdly,
I was gonna say
Jalen.
it's lost its appeal to me probably like 7-8 years ago.
Ever
And
since
they don't even have the best players, and nothing against Max McClung who won it last year, whatever. But it's just like
He's not even in the league.
exactly.
He's not even in this league. So I don't really want it. And also, that was like a freaking pity victory last year. They just gave it to him because he was the short white guy. Like,
Yeah.
ridiculous. Weirdly, Jalen Brown is in it. Which is like he's like
In the
slumming
dunk
it basically. Yeah, he's like slumming it with these guys, and it's like I appreciate that he's doing it. To me, it all fell apart when LeBron said no. Like it's basically been dying ever since then.
Remember when he
Because-
teased us like 10 years ago that he was going to do the dunk contest and then just
Yeah.
never did?
Yeah, as soon as he turned it down, all the stars started turning it down. It was no longer cool, and now G League guys are doing it, and Jalen Brown. So weird.
I think that shows you that it's definitely lost its appeal. Like,
Yeah,
do you
it's also
remember,
it's hard. There's not that many new dunks, and
yeah, like
the judges are terrible. They
creativity
give
has
everything a
lost
10.
itself. Like the top parts of the NBA dunk contest were probably like the 90s. You got like Muggsy Bogues and Michael Jordan and
Vince
all
Carter,
those guys. And then like you have
T-Mac,
a little bit going to the 2000s where you've got
Nate
Blake
Robinson,
Griffin,
Dwight Howard.
Robinson, Dwight Howard with his Superman
Even
Dunks
a little
left.
Aaron Gordon thing there for a little
Aaron Gordon
bit.
had a couple of nice dunks for sure. Like, don't
But
get me
yeah,
wrong,
definitely
but
the
for the
Blake Dwight
most part,
Howard
it
era.
used to be like, oh, this guy's going to do something crazy, or you got Vince Carter jumping over his teammate and throwing half of his arm through the hoop, and then he's just hanging there. Like, that was awesome. That was fun, and like now it's just, oh, here's a 360 dunk that I see this guy do like once every 15 games, and
all tens because the judges are four NBA celebrities who have to see these guys day in and day out.
yep.
That was a 10. Wow, it's round one. Now the whole scoring system's flipped. You
I
have to
would
build up. You can't
if
start
I
at
was
10.
if I was on the panel giving out scores, I'd give out like a 5 every time just to skew the scoring system. Just to be like,
Someone's
this
got
is
it.
impressive.
I've seen 700 windmill dunks. 5.
Yeah.
Oh, he spun around. Oh, 6. Like, yeah, that's
You want to light it up? Become a mascot performer. Jump off some trampolines, do some flips, mix it up for me, will ya? They never will because it's injury prone. But god damn it,
There's no one even in the league's going to play. Well, it should just be mascots at this point. Screw it. If Matt McClung is
a mascot dunk champion,
if
for
Matt
sure.
McClung is the headliner, like let's just get rid of it and bring in the trampolines.
I want to see Benny the Bull throw one down.
Yeah.
What about the crazy ass pelican from New York?
I want to see the weird green magic mascot float out of the sky and dunk it through the hoop. Like,
give me the Sun's gorilla. You know, give me it all.
That guy.
Give me somebody dressed up as a wizard. I want to see that guy throw down a dunk.
Yeah, right? Some old guy.
That's how they save the dunk
trampoline.
Old guy.
That sounds like a good idea. Come on, Grandpa, get on the tramp. Hey, that's what we're all
that's when you get like an Uncle Drew guy. You know, just put on some makeup, make him look like a wizard.
Right.
And then he goes out and does his thing. I'm telling you, this is how you save the dunk contest. I'd be way more interested in watching the mascots dunk than
someone's gonna do it. I'd be into it if then they pull
like G-League guys. And,
the old wizard pulls off his mask at the end, and it is LeBron, and then everyone's back in.
There you go.
On the dunk contest.
Boom! All eyes back on the dunk contest.
Is that too much to ask?
It'd be like it's a mixture of like the Masked Singer and a dunk contest in that aspect.
Yeah, which that show weirdly took off, so I guess people are into it.
I don't know why that show took off, but that's just the reference I've made. I've never seen a single episode of it, but I know the reveal at the end.
I remember the first year it came out, and I was like, "Wow, that's going to fail horribly."
And here they are on like season 5.
I said the same thing with The Voice. That shit has built careers.
People love the dramatization of how this person got here and how they sing.
The chair is slowly turning. Oh! Yeah, I guess the singing competition will just never die.
No, that won't. It'll never will.
As long as people keep joining glee clubs.
So now that we've come up with our own rules to fix the NBA dunk contest.
Simple, easy to follow.
We had one subject on here. I think we could probably save it for the next time around. The unwritten rules in sports.
Oh yeah, that's an evergreen anytime subject.
Exactly. We can hit that at any point. But you recently saw Godzilla -1.
I did.
Black and white. It was in Japanese audio, English subtitles.
Yeah. Godzilla, I think it's technically Godzilla -1 minus color is like the full title when it's in black and white.
Is there one in color?
Yeah, the
original or whatever.
Yes.
The theatrical release. Okay.
Yeah, the normal version is just in color. I waited so long that it went out of theaters and then was in the small theaters, and then I checked the big theaters and it was like, oh, it's back in.
It's not just black and white. So yeah, no, that checks out.
Yes. So yeah, when I ended up going, I didn't actually realize it was in black and white. I was just like, oh, it's back in the big theaters. This is cool. And then the movie started, and I was like, oh, this is, oh boy, okay. Maybe this is just a flashback. No, okay, this is all in black and white. And at first I was like a little annoyed because I was like, if you're gonna, given the option, I would prefer to have color. It's pretty crazy, but that's just where I land. But then almost immediately I was like, this does fit the time period. It's set in 1945 post-war Japan. It fits the time period very well. It fits the production value very well, and they did a good job of it. So, like, pretty quickly I was all into it. And then by the end of the movie, I was like, that was actually the best way to experience it, I feel. Awesome movie, though. Awesome movie. There we go.
I'm trying to find something. I liked this. I think it was an Instagram post, maybe, or maybe
All right, I'll
Uh,
try to buy you some time on that.
Twitter like or whatever. But basically, it was I don't know how this Godzilla thing works. It was like him standing in the middle of the ocean. It's like, well, the depth is 12,000 feet in the ocean. How is he just standing above the ocean water threshold or whatever? It doesn't make any sense.
He's like a water polo player. He's really good at just kind of like moving and grooving and staying above.
Here we go. I found it. It was okay. So this submarine is 76 feet tall. The average depth of the seafloor is 12,000 feet below, and Godzilla stands at 393 feet. How is he breaking the water surface? And it's just a little breakdown of it. It's like, oh, and so they give up all these different. Is he standing on a mountain, an underwater mountain? Is he on stilts? Is he on a bunch of rubbish?
He's he's like twirling his tail right underneath and just staying above, ready to throw. He's on a good water polo team, I believe.
But overall, though, like you said, it was probably the best movie to or best way to see that movie.
Yeah, yeah. If you have the option, I would say like I would actually recommend Black and White very much. So there's
Do you think it
yeah,
added to that aspect of what you said though? Like it takes place just after
yeah,
World War II, like kind of
yes,
fits that feel, that theme of
yeah. And a
period.
lot of the times, or a couple of the times that he shows up, Godzilla, in the movie, they
Spoiler.
play like yeah, I know, sorry, they play the original theme from the gee, I don't
Oh,
even like 1957 original
yeah,
Godzilla movie,
yeah.
whatever that was. It might I don't know if it was that. They play that original theme, and he's slowly walking through, and it's like it actually like all kind of clicks into place. They're obviously using a lot of like early 40s kind of set design and vehicles and stuff. There's a moment with like these tanks that I think if you saw it in color, and I listened to a couple reviews that actually said this, that they thought they looked quite silly and didn't really work. But to me,
Oh,
in the black and white, I was just like, there's an old fucking tank. Look how old this
yeah.
thing is. And it does look like an old toy, but it's like, yeah, it was 1945. Like they put a piece of aluminum on top of you and they made a little gun. Like that was it. They needed to get the job done. But the thing that's interesting about this movie is it's so the title is something that you would ask me as far as like what even is that. Basically,
Yeah,
it's
what is -1? You know,
because basically it's set at the year zero or whatever is the when the
atomic
bombs
bomb.
hit in Japan. Um, this is basically set right after that, and then the idea that I think I've heard is the Godzilla attacks happen in this movie, and it sets them back even from zero to -1. So,
Gotcha. Okay,
and
so
they're
more havoc, more destruction.
yeah, and it's in the wake of this already massive event that happened. They're in a post-war Japan where they've had to give up all of their boats and
Assets and
weapons
everything.
and
Yeah,
planes, everything. So it's like they're
yeah. They
not
can't
even
even fight back against
no,
Godzilla.
they're not equipped to deal with it really in any way. The main focus of the movie follows an ex kamikaze pilot who kind of walks away from his duty in the war in shame. He comes back to his hometown, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're back!
You're
Wait,
supposed to be
you're
dead.
back! Wait, why the heck are you back? You coward! You shouldn't be here. You're the reason we lost this war. Look at the rubble. My friends and family are dead, and it's your fault." So he's dealing with a lot of the shame of that, and then the shame of that kind of gets wrapped up in his first meeting of Godzilla, and there's some shame in him not being able to do what he needs to do in that situation. And so it's every time he sees Godzilla, it's kind of wrapped up with his like emotional PTSD of his shame in the wars. It's like there's actual human emotion stuff going on that they've intertwined with the monster stuff, which is always the stuff that like especially the American movies have not been able to do at all, which is like have a semi interesting human character in your movie. It's they can't really do it. They always are just like bring me a divorced dad trying to get to his family. Okay, I don't have to think about it anymore. But this movie, yeah, following him and following his story and family and how he moves on, and then Godzilla comes back into his life, and then what he has to do near the end of the movie to kind of reconcile different things. A great performance by him, and a lot of the other kind of main lady in the movie. But it was awesome. Yeah, in black and white. Well, it's kind of perfect. I like that they do like actual scientific ways of dealing with the monster in these movies rather than just like the American
Nukes.
bigger gun nuke. Uh, in this one, they devise a way to basically with it still didn't really make sense when they described it in the movie, but maybe it does. But there's some kind of like way of using bubbles if they wrap him up that they can send him to the bottom of the ocean with like some the way they disperse the bubbles or something. I don't know.
So
Uh,
like a tidal pool thing, and it just like sucks him down.
well, no, it's more like they have these like a long cable and they wrap like these little devices in the cable, and then they have two boats. Or maybe I'm getting into too much detail, but they wrap it around Godzilla and then they activate it, and it's like all these little bubbles come out and they're like, pfft.
Huh. Okay.
And somehow the science of that maybe does or doesn't actually work out, but basically shoots him downwards. And so
Lizards
that,
don't like bubbles.
yeah,
You don't know
maybe
this?
something
You didn't know
about
this? Okay.
pressure of the ocean. I don't know, but uh, it basically their whole plan is to send him to the bottom of a
Bottom of the ocean.
trench and
The Marianas Trench?
cry. Well, I don't know. They mentioned a trench. I don't know if it's that one. Is that in Japan?
No, I don't think it's in Japan.
I feel like
It's in the Pacific Ocean, but it's not in Japan.
okay. Then yeah, maybe not that one, but they're just gonna crush him at the bottom of the ocean. Like that's their whole plan, and then if that doesn't work, they're gonna bring him back up to the top and like give him the bends and internally fuck up his organ.
Okay.
Like
Interesting.
so that
Interesting.
ideas for this giant creature that you can't just shoot or whatever. It's like, oh, we'll sink him. And they're like, but he's comes from the ocean. Won't he be able? It's like, well, if he survives the fall, then we'll bring him back up because they'll inflate
But
that little device and that'll bring him up to the top, and maybe that'll fuck up
but
his
doesn't he
internal
come from the
registry.
ocean floor though?
Well, they mentioned that, and that's why the second part of the plan happens when they bring him up, and maybe that. But I mean, it doesn't really work. Yeah,
Okay.
the way they designed it to. For minute one, actually, the plan is screwed because they're like, all right, we're gonna meet him at the trench. It's gonna be cool. And then they're like, oh god, he's in the bay. Like, what? Like, he didn't even get on the boats yet. And they're like, we sent out. There's a funny part, sort of funny. I think it's supposed to be funny. There's a part where they send out a boat with like a decoy sound that they're like dredging
Hoping
behind,
lures him out.
and it's like
Yeah.
it sounds like a predator or whatever, another alpha male. So maybe this will buy us some time, and then we can go out. And they're like getting on the boat in the harbor, and they just see that boat can fly through the sky into the into one of their other boats and explode. And it's just like, God, he took out the decoy. And so then, yeah, they have to kind of rearrange the plan and make it work in a different way. And then there's
Comedic.
even more complications from there. But yeah, I loved it. I think it's no, it is. It's the best Godzilla movie I've seen. It's not a super long list, but it is for me. And then in my actual rankings of last year's movies, I think it moved up into a spot. Let me find it. I ended up putting it number 3 of last year, right,
In your 2023 movies?
right behind Spider Verse and Oppenheimer, and ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Killers of the Flower Moon. So number 3, minus color.
Not finished it.
Great movie. I loved it. I also watched Shin Godzilla right before this, which was the movie they made after Roland Emmerich's Godzilla, the last Japanese Godzilla, that is. Also a great movie, very different. This one is like, there isn't really a main character. It's sort of like a bureaucratic, minute-to-minute governmental human response of what would happen today if something like this showed up and how humans would deal with it and all the kind of failings of the bureaucracy and that kind of thing and how stupid some of the things are. Because basically, like, the first 17, 20 minutes of Shin Godzilla is, like, awesome because a thing just shows up in the harbor. They don't even know. At the time, they think it's like a biological disaster. It causes, like, a puncture in one of their underground tunnels. So there's flooding. It's like a humanitarian disaster. They're like, is this weird venting from some underwater volcano? We're just trying to deal with it. And it shows, like, yeah, backroom meetings of people trying to deal with this, figure out, get people help, blah blah blah, send resources here or there, and then like some things on the internet start coming, and they realize there's like a creature, and then the creature starts moving up the river, and the whole time they're just like trying to enact responses, and they're in a boardroom, they're talking, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have to have an emergency response meeting. Okay, let's go, let's have that meeting, and they all pick up their stuff and go to another room, like 5 rooms down, and set all their stuff down and start having a meeting with those same people. And then they cut back to Godzilla, like rampaging through another town. And they're like, okay, this is a good emergency response meeting. Now we need to go back and actually enact some environmental. Let's go to this other meeting. And they pick it up. Godzilla crushes a bunch of stuff. They go to another room. So it's very kind of that kind of thing of, it's not quite satirical, I guess. But it's a send up of how ridiculous some of those responses can be, I guess.
Do you have
Very
a
scientific movie.
list of like top three Godzilla movies you would recommend people to watch?
Well, these
Besides minus
two,
one, I guess, because you just said minus one. Yeah,
these two,
minus one and Shin Godzilla.
are great, very good, very different, very
Not the
interesting.
Matthew Broderick one. Come on.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I haven't seen any of like the OG Japanese ones. I've watched a couple
I
YouTube
haven't seen that one.
videos, and it's like I don't even know where. I kind of know where to start, but I don't really want to start. There's so many. But I think the original still holds up and is quite good. So I would almost maybe say that one because all the other ones are the American ones.
Yeah,
The the recent Godzilla, plain Godzilla remake that I think
the
it
one
was
that like Cranston was in.
Gareth Edwards did.
Was the one
Um,
with Bryan Cranston was in or whatever?
yeah, that one's all right. It's okay. They should have kept Cranston, and the actual main characters are pretty garbage.
I was gonna say,
But
doesn't he die like 15 minutes into the movie?
yeah, it's not good. But they do a decent. It's kind of like an extreme version of Jaws, where it's like they really don't show Godzilla much, and they do a good job of kind of making scale and that stuff. The problem is the main character is Alan Taylor Johnson, and he's just such a boring nothing. Uh, and then I don't really remember the second two. I will say the Godzilla versus Kong is like a pretty fun, dumb movie. I enjoy that.
Monster movie,
It's
right?
it's dumb fun, but it's fun isn't part of that. And the Tom Skull Island is also like similarly like I like that movie. Dog shit human characters. God, other than John C. Riley and
I
Samuel L.
would say
Jackson, who are
John
like
C. Riley's character. Yeah.
fun kind of characters, but like the main two in that movie are the Marvel people, the Loki and Miss Marvel,
Yeah.
and they suck. They're dog shit. So that's a little tough, but I like the whole kind of 70s Vietnam vibe and Samuel Jackson. There's some cool cinematography. And then there's going to be another Godzilla Kong movie coming out soon that is them again, like fighting I don't know, something.
Side by side, they're fighting now.
It looks like it. But I'm a sucker if you give a giant ape an axe. Like I just can't kind of help myself in that regard. I turned back into a kid with Legos, so I am kind of into that. But these two Godzillas to me are like fantastic, above the break, above all the rest. Yeah, Shin Godzilla is like actually horrifying and terrifying as it goes along too, because that is like of all the Godzillas, I think that one would like just destroy all the rest. I feel like maybe combined like that Shin Godzilla is a fucked up monster. Like he does the thing too at one point. Like all of them have like the laser. I don't know what it's called, the radioactive breath or whatever, the heat ray, whatever they call it. And in the Shin Godzilla, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up, which is I guess what they're going for. It's an allegory to atomic bombs. Like
Yeah.
this is what it is, and it's the pain that they have. It's very fitting in all these movies that Godzilla is very often an American-made monstrosity that turns up on their soil. Like there it is. But in Shin Godzilla, this is the last thing I'll say because it's so fucked. That he gets to the point where he's going to use the breath, and he does the thing where like his mouth opens, and then the bottom of the mouth opens again, and then it turns into like this concentrated purple laser, and he's just cutting through entire buildings.
Like
and then
plasma ray almost. Just
yeah, and his mouth is open in like 4 different places, like some crazy.
like a predator.
Yes, yeah, kind of. So that is just very fucked up. But then it's like does this weird thing where he runs out of like the concentrated beam, and it like his eyes, it zooms in on the eyes, and they like flicker over to like just this pure black tar kind of look, and then like the fire starts coming out instead, and it's just like yeah, he burns down.
X Files, the black oil
Burns
over
down
the
most of the whole
eyes.
city. It's and then it's fucked up. So that one is like pure devastation and destruction. I also just love like in that whole Shin Godzilla movie, it's like evolving throughout the movie because it starts as like this water-based nothing, and then it kind of turns into more like a water river lizard, and then they're like, oh well, it can't get on land, so we're fine. And then the next scene, it gets on land, and then it kind of forms itself upright, and then it kind of grows arm, and like it becomes the Godzilla we're familiar with by the end, but it very much doesn't start that way. It's like it's like pushing itself with two hind legs on the streets of Japan somewhere, and like it has these gills that are just like espousing blood by the gallon. Like it's disgusting. I love how disgusting it is. It's so gross.
You like
Uh,
gore. You like some gory stuff in there.
well, I like this weird scientific stuff that's put into like the biology of it. It's not specifically gore because it's like more like kind of gross out, which I don't actually like either. But it's like to me, I find the biology that they put all their time into fascinating. Of like, it starts as this, and it's fucking blood's coming out. It used to be underwater. It doesn't know what to do with the gills now, and then maybe it becomes upright because now it's on land. I find that fascinating. But generally, I'm not a big gore person. I guess I don't know. I'm not. I don't love the Saw movies. If that's like the barometer,
Okay. Yeah.
the first one's good, but after that,
I looked up Shin Godzilla. That to be the last thing I say before we sign off. What
yeah.
the hell is Crunchyroll? You said that's like a place you can watch the movie. What is that?
Surely you should know this by now. That's the #1 anime app. That's how I watch 70% of my anime.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. Didn't know that was the internet.
Are you familiar with Funimation?
That sounds familiar, but
Okay, that used to be like another huge one, but they got bought by Crunchyroll.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
that's like, yeah, that's where a vast majority of anime is just on there. And that's where I watched it. I was like, oh, they have this on here. This is cool.
Well, there you go. That's the first thing that pops up,
Yeah.
and then the other one is like Amazon Prime or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? Everybody needs to at least go see one of those Godzilla movies. I'm gonna try to watch one of those before the next time we record.
I would really recommend -1 in black and white. Like,
well, I don't think that's readily available to me right now.
Yeah, there's some theaters out there. I don't know.
It's in some. I believe it took you a while to find one that had
it's like the big ones. They did a re-release. Well, now it's been a while. Maybe it's not.
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
Shin Godzilla is a little easier. It is like, it's slow. I fell asleep during it, and then I watched it again. It's slow paced. It's pretty late. I fall asleep during a lot of movies as well, so that is kind of a thing. But it's slower paced, and there's not like a main character really. So you
can't get drawn into somebody. Or anything like
you
that.
can be a little more detached from it. I just find it fascinating as like a procedural of what would happen in the real world, and then it does. I think the first 20 minutes is like awesome because it's just bang, bang, bang. This thing's happening. What are we doing? We got to do something here. So there's a lot of pace to it, but there's not like in Godzilla -1. It's like you're following this main character ex-kamikaze pilot the whole movie. So there's like a lot more to latch onto there, and it gets a lot more emotional at the end. There's not as much emotional connection with Shin Godzilla, but it's the bureaucratic version. So it's like there maybe shouldn't be either. But yeah, those are both great. I would recommend it. I'd recommend Crunchyroll. If we can get a Crunchyroll sponsor, that would be great.
The Nerd Corner. The Nerd Corner brought to you by Crunchyroll. Possibly
not Crunchyroll. That's a different app.
Crunchyroll.
Oh, we can do it only anime, and I'm gonna get my anime list out for next year. I just have to keep watching a couple more anime.
Off the app. Come on, it's built in. Let's go, Crunchyroll.
I would love that. That would be great. We'll see. We'll see.
But that wraps up another episode of Sportslandia. Brian Slack and Ray Bradley, brought to you by the Next Professional Athlete platform. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again coming soon.